Hello everyone, it's Jackie from Pretty Paper Crafts. Sorry, it's been I think it's 3 weeks since my last tutorial. Didn't mean to leave it quite so long. Anyway, today's class is mainly going to be about mats and layers. Now I can remember, albeit some time ago, but I can remember when I found mats and layers really scary and didn't know where to turn. Most videos showing you how an end product rather than an end product rather than concentrating on the mats and layers. When I'd done some voluntary teaching in crafts, it was the hardest thing that most people struggled with. So this lesson is going to be solely on mats and layers. The first thing that I would say is if you use shop bought card, most of it is wider than it is longer, or vice versa, even if it's square. So always measure the card if it's shop bought before you start, otherwise your mats and layers are going to be totally out when you go to put it together. This one is a 6x6 and I had to trim 1mm off of one side to get it to be square. This is a basic mat and layer. When they talk about mats, they talk about the first layer, and layers would be these next layers on top of the mat. So base card, green is mat, the white is the layer. This could either be your pattern or it could just be what your colour your base card is. The mats on here, the measurements on here are 1/4 of an inch smaller, both one side and the other side, or 2mm, or 1/8 of an inch. If you put it like this, you think 1/4 of an inch should be, people, what they can't understand is how 1/4 of an inch isn't showing us 1/4 of an inch on all sides, whereas 1/4 of an inch, or if you cut down one side and one side 1/4 of an inch, you're actually, because it's both sides, you're getting 1/8 rather than the 1/4 of an inch. So this one is a basic 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, two sides on both layers. Both the mat and the layers are just 1/4 of an inch difference on both the green and the white. Same goes for this. This one is mirror card because I've got a big fancy for mirror card. I really like it and tend to use it most of the time. Same measurements, 1/4 of an inch difference on the mat, 1/4 of an inch difference on the layer. This one again is the same measurements. The only difference is I've put foam tape behind that top layer, so it's actually raising the top layer. Measurements are the same, top layer is just raised by foam tape. Now these two, this is where I've used a different shape card. The measurements are the same. It's 1/4 of an inch that side, 1/4 of an inch that side. Everything else is the same, different shape card. Now this one, same one, 1/4 of an inch both sides on this one, so it's wider on that layer, but I've introduced black. Now I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody overseas tutorials I was watching, and they tended to use black in all of theirs. Now personally, I just find it adds a little bit of class to most cards if you've just got that 1mm on that third layer or second layer, because this is the third layer, the black one just a fraction smaller, not your normal size, but a fraction smaller on a standard matten layer. I like the black. Same cards, one's got the black, one hasn't. Both exactly the same otherwise. Now these ones, this is a square again. These measurements are all the 1/4 of an inch. So it's 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. The narrow one, just the little millimetre one, and then your layer on the top. So there's more layers on this, depending on how you're going to stand it, whether you're going to stand it like that or whether you're going to stand it up like that. The weight might make a difference. This one again, it's an oblong shaped card, and I've done the 1/4 of an inch ones and then just that little tiny thin layer there. This one again, it's a square card. The little thin black one there, these are left green, just the colour on the top, because I've got these all lined up for something, which is a different tutorial, which I'll be giving you next time. And there's a reason that this is staying green rather than me putting the white on them. So some of them have got the mirror card on the top and not got a white layer added. This one again is blue, but instead of the black, I've done just a little tiny blue narrow bit, just like I would with the black. I just think it just makes it look a little bit classy. Now these two are different again, because I have added the foam again on these two. This one has got the one layer of foam there, square ones, everything measured like the previous ones. There's a reason that this colour mirri card is on the top, or will be revealed next time. Now this one is principally the same. It's got the little black layer, and I've also done a little white layer, the same thickness as the black layer. So really it's practice and practice and practice until you find the right widths that you're happy with, because some people like the 1/4 of an inch, some people like the 1/2 an inch. This one here is the standard one, and then you've got the little thin black, and then I've added a little tiny thin layer of white. And this one has got 2 layers of foam under the top one and under the other one halfway down. So that's the difference there. Now these ones are ones that I've covered before, but I'm just gonna sort of just explain what I've done with them. This was the one that was in, I think, my napkin tutorial, because this was a napkin. This was an inch difference on this very first mat. Then that was not quite an inch, but I think it was 1/2 an inch. Yeah, I think that was 1/2 an inch. Little tiny slither of black, and then the napkin, after it had been heat embossed, was added onto there. This was obviously an 8x8 card. This one again, I done the 1/4 of an inch. This obviously was an inch difference, 1/2 inch both sides. Then the 1/4 of an inch, then the eighth, no, that is 1/4 of an inch. the 1/2 of an eighth. And that just finishes that off. The red brings it in. It's a little bit shiny, but it's the mats and layers that I was trying to sort of introduce you to. Again on this one, 1/2 an inch there, then your little slither, and then that. Again that one, and this final one was the inch difference, 1/2 inch both sides, then the little narrow one, and then your finishing one on the top. So that's it. I just want to say thanks to everybody that stuck with me. I'm still not in a position to deal with requests, because I've had a couple of requests. I'm still not happy with how I sound. I'm not happy with my tutorials. But when I'm more confident, when I'm happier with myself and how I do it, then I will certainly be taking on requests. So anyway, happy crafting, and I'll catch you next week with a totally different technique. Bye bye then.